when I gravitated to the guy from church, he was doing a lot more like art pieces, you know? So it was a little bit more complex, and I think that's what drew me to that.
The guy from church, was he did he become a well-known artist? What did he write? And was he from a crew?
He wrote Rake, and he wasn't from any well-known crew. He was just kind of doing his own stuff, you know what I mean? He wasn't really out there, and he didn't really make it into a career.
What would your families... Did your family know about your brother's secret life? Does he ever get caught?
Yeah, so when I was young and we were living over there, he did get caught. I think for like possession of, you know, like weapons and stuff. Not really for like graffiti, but so he was like, you know, in and out of jail and stuff. So he did have kind of like a crazy lifestyle.
Does your family know about your secret life?
Yeah, they do.
How would they describe what you do?
They say it's dangerous, and you know I got to be careful. Definitely.
Does graffiti first enter your consciousness through your brother, or do you see it in the streets first, in TV shows, movies? Can you tell us about that first sense of what it is?
Like how I kind of heard of it?
Yes.
So I first got it just through seeing my brother's, like, you know, drawings on paper and kind of hearing what he wrote. So I would see his name on the walls and stuff. And so that's kind of how I started, you know, seeing it. And then, you know, as I started getting older, I started seeing, like, you know, like little videos and stuff, you know, like New York, and kind of finding out the whole history of that. It was pretty crazy.
As you're growing up, getting into graffiti, are there any writers you would see on the street that you enjoyed seeing up, that caught your eye?
Yeah, you know, I would see like a lot of Zester tags, you know what I mean? Euler, you know, like the tags that they climb up high just to, you know, to get just a single tag. And I remember seeing Saber's Wild pieces back then. It was pretty dope. That was pretty inspiring. I was always like really into, like, you know, intricate, like wild style pieces that really always drew me. And you know, I've always liked Revoke style too. It's sick.
Does your friend in church teach you some of the rules of graffiti? Does he give you any advice going forward? How do you learn the unspoken rules?
With him, I didn't really learn too many rules. I was just more on like letter structures and kind of drawing and stuff. It wasn't until I went to high school when I kind of started learning more of like the rules and, you know, what happens and what you can and cannot do. So
you mentioned seeing videos of graffiti. This was before the YouTube era. Can you mention some of the videos that you did see? What were these videos? Where would you see them?
Yeah, so from what I remember, my homie had like VHS videos. So that's kind of how I was seeing them.
At this time, you said high school is when the spark really hit. What high school are you attending?
Montebello.
Were there any other known writers in Montebello High School at that time? Or who were the known crews in Montebello at that time?
The known crews around there, from what I remember, there was like TCA, MFK, FUC.
When you're in high school, who do you meet there that initiated you into the streets?
Well, so when I went to high school, I didn't right away start meeting taggers. I think my freshman year, I was kind of like just tagging alone, not really like kind of branching out. I did meet a few guys, and around that time, you know, like there was like a lot of talk of like, you know, like the MSK crew and, you know, like other crews that were kind of like smashing, but I don't really remember too many names. So it was just like random people that I seen tagging, you know.
In high school, are you mostly hitting up inside the school, before school, after school? Are you already going out at night to do missions?
Yeah, I would hit spots like after school and or like early mornings on the way.
Do you remember using your first spray can and picking it up?
Yeah, I do. It was pretty dope, you know, getting that can and then catching tags. I was mostly hitting like riverbeds and stuff.
Who were you with? Were you alone? Were you with a lot of people?
No, I was just with my homie Rake at the time.
Are you writing Zags at this time?
Yeah.
What other names besides Zags in this early era were you writing?
That was the only one.
You're writing Zags, you're catching spots in high school. Is this when you get your name Scheme? Where does that name come from? When do you get it?
So I got Zags when I was probably like 9, 10. By the time I got to high school, from what I remember, I think it was like right before high school is when I got Scheme. So my brother gave me that name.
How did he give you that name? Can you tell us?
He said that he thought Zags was kind of whack. So he's like, you should write another name. And he ended up saying, you should do Scheme. That sounds pretty dope.
What did you think about it when he mentioned it? Did you reject it?
No, I think I thought I had a good flow to it, and it sounded pretty, pretty straightforward on what it means. So
You had put in work with Zags along the way, and now you change your name. What were your feelings about that?
I was pretty young, so I didn't put too much work in, but I guess at the time, like being really young like that, I hearing it from, like my brother and like, I thought that was like, the right thing to do, maybe that name was better, so I kind of just jumped to it,